Good day and thank you for joining. Good day and thank you for joining us on BeeTv News Update at 12. I am Lee Bratesman Joanna. Now the news in details. Elon Musk's record $1 trillion pay package marks one of the largest compensation deals in corporate history, cementing its dominance at Tesla while igniting debate over executive pay and company's long-term directions, the reports.
Tesla's shareholders have approved a record-breaking pay package for Elon Musk, potentially worth nearly $1 trillion, in a vote that threw applause and celebration at the company's annual general meeting in Austin, Texas. About 75% driving robotaxis. It will receive hundreds of millions of new shares. The Tesla's board defended the unprecedented payout and criticism, arguing that the company could not risk losing Musk's leadership. After the announcement, Musk took the stage to cheers and music, declaring that Tesla was beginning not just a new chapter, but an entirely new book in its history, and joked that the company's meetings were far livelier than others in the industry. Market analysts said Musk focus on robotics, particularly the Optimus human, was shifting away from Tesla's core electric vehicle businesses, which have struggled in recent months. Musk later discussed Tesla's full self-driving software, suggesting it was nearly ready for drivers to use hands-free, even as U.S. regulators continue investigation into multiple crashes involving the technology. Despite regulatory scrutiny, Tesla's shares have climbed more than 60% in the past 6 months, though sales have declined since Musk's political alignment with Donald Trump, a relationship that has since collapsed. Investment executive Ross Garber describes the approved pay deal as another extraordinary chapter in corporate history, noting that Tesla's financial performance remains under pressure, even as Musk pursues his expansion vision for the company's future. Soher Osemegi reporting for BeeTv News.
More than 2,000 people were reportedly killed in Sudan El Fasher last month after fighters from Rapid Support Forces RSF stormed the city, executing civilians and celebrating the killings. Satellite images and videos from the scene showed bodies strewn across streets and university buildings, while witnesses described relatives being rounded up and shot. The RSF, which has besieged El Fasher for nearly 2 years, sealed the city with a sand barrier and cut off aids before launching its duty. The International Criminal Court has opened a probe into potential war crimes and crimes against humanity. Following global outrage, RSF leaders admitted that some of their fighters had committed violations and claimed to have detained suspects. However, analysts later reported evidence of body removers and new graves near a hospital, suggesting an attempt to conceal the extent of the massacre. Typhoon Kalmegi has killed at least 188 people in the Philippines and 5 in Vietnam, according to the largest figures from the two countries. The storm is now headed west to Cambodia and Laos after it barred through central Vietnam on Thursday with winds of up to 149 km per hour. BeeTv News' Esther Esemige has details.
Towns along Vietnam's central coast were littered with debris this morning after taking the full brunt of the storm overnight. The strong winds uprooted trees, tore off roofs, and smashed large windows. Thousands of people sought shelter in schools and other public buildings as the army was deployed to help deal with the damage. Vietnamese authorities have warned of possible flooding in low-lying areas. Central Vietnam has already seen record rainfall in the past week, which has killed 50 people. Earlier this week, the same storm devastated part of the Philippines when heavy rainfall sent torrents of mud down hillsides and into residential areas. Some poorer neighborhoods have obliterated by the fast-moving flash floods. Dakhla province is approximately 350 kilometers northeast of Ho Chi Minh City. Many people said their homes had collapsed or been flooded, while strong winds and heavy rain continued to batter the area. According to local media reports, Prime Minister of Vietnam Pham Minh Chinh held an online meeting to direct the emergency response. Before making landfall in Vietnam, the typhoon, known locally as Tina, left a trail of devastation in the Philippines. At least 188 people were killed and tens of thousands were evacuated, particularly from central areas including the populous island and tourist hotspot of Cebu, where cars were swept through the street. Kamagi dumped the equivalent of a month's worth of rain on the island in just 24 hours.
Of fraud during last month's election, Biya Detto. In his swearing-in speech at the country's parliament in the capital, Biya congratulated the security forces for containing the protest, but failed to address complaints of excessive use of force. He insisted the election was now in the past, urging citizens to work with him on building a united, stable, and prosperous country. The president promised to make issues affecting women and young people a priority, with a commitment to tackle corruption and security challenges which have marred his administration over the years. Biya first came into power in November 1982 after the resignation of President Amadou Hadjo. His critics say he has ruled the country with an iron fist since then. Prior to the inauguration, several parts of the country were crippled by a general strike called Chitroma Bakari, especially in his strongholds of Garu and Douala. He said he would resist until his victory was recognized and went on to urge foreign powers to impose sanctions on Cameroonian officials over the recent crackdown on protests and complaints over the electoral fraud. Judges at the Constitutional Council had dismissed 8 complaints about the elections, citing insufficient evidence of irregularities or a lack of jurisdiction to annual results. Chitroma Bakari, leader of the National Salvation Front Party, was a former government information minister who broke ranks with Biya to challenge him for power. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BeeTv News.
South Africa has skated over the latest criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump, who has said he does not think the country should be part of the G20 any longer. Presidential spokesperson Vincent Magwenya told newsmen that his country was confident it will host a very successful G20 summit when leaders from the world's largest economies gather in Johannesburg later this month, they report.
Trump, who has repeatedly accused South Africa of discriminating against its white minority, was due to take over after South Africa.
Generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the G's anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there.
Credited and lacks reliable evidence. South Africa's latest crime statistics do not indicate that more white people have fallen victim to violent crime than other racial groups. The G20 was founded in 1990 to restore economic stability. The first Leaders Summit was held in 2008 in response to that year's global financial turmoil to promote international cooperation. Now the leaders get together each year along with representatives of the European Union and African Union to talk about the world's economies and the issues countries are facing. There is no formal procedure laid down for kicking a country out of the G20 as it is not treaty-based organization like the UN and does not have a legal charter or constitution. It is an informal forum that operates by consensus. Chris Van Dome, Senior Research Fellow at Chatham House African Program.
The United Nations has lifted long-standing sanctions on Syria's transitional president Ahmed al-Sharaa, marking a major diplomatic shift ahead of his scheduled visit to the White House next week, the report.
The United Nations Security Council has voted The decision sends a clear political message recognizing Syria's transformation since the end of its 13-year civil war. The Syrian leader had previously been under UN sanctions due to his past leadership of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a group once tied to al-Qaeda The U.S. removed HTS from its list of foreign terrorist organizations in July, a move that preceded the lifting of sanctions on Shara and Interior Minister Anas Katab. Syria's foreign ministry expressed gratitude to the United States and its allies, calling the decision a show of support for the Syrian people. The White House visit follows President Donald Trump's remarks that Shara had made good progress towards stabilizing the country. The two leaders last met in May during Trump's Middle East tour in Riyadh, where the U.S. president described Shara as a tough leader with potential to unify Syria. In September, Shara became the first Syrian head of state in nearly 6 decades to address the UN General Assembly, declaring that Syria was reclaiming its place among nations and voicing solidarity with Gaza. Harmony Agbafor reporting for BeeTv News.
The UK government has reclaimed £74 million from Islam accommodation firms after discovering they made excessive profits on the previous contracts, the Home Office has revealed. Following a review launched after Labour took power last year, the Home Office said the funds were recovered as part of efforts to tighten oversight after MPs criticised the previous administration for poor management of multi-billion-pound deals with private contractors. Despite the recovery, the sum is a fraction of £2.1 billion spent on Islam housing in 2024-25, equivalent to £5.77 million a day. Officials said recent savings were achieved by cutting hotel use and introducing room-sharing arrangements, but the opposition accused Labour of failing to stem the flow of illegal migration or end the reliance on hotels. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood said the government has committed to closing all Islam hotels before the next election, while conservative critics argued the saving would be wiped out in less than 2 weeks at the current rates of spending. Ministers are also exploring alternative housing options, including military bases, as they attempt to deliver a cheaper and more sustainable Islam system. A man suffered burns after a power bank in his pocket burst into flames inside the contents business lounge at Melbourne International Airport on Thursday morning, triggering an evacuation of about 150 people. The man, believed to be in his 50s, caught fire when the lithium battery overheated and exploded, sending smoke and battery acid across the lounge. Staff rushed to his aid, guiding him into a shower before paramedics arrived. He was taken to hospital with leg and hand burns, but was later released in stable condition. Witnesses described scenes of panic as passengers fled the smoky lounge. Australian film producer Leon Tonkes, who was present, shared a photo of the shared device online, praising staff for their quick response. The area was cleaned and reopened within 2 hours. Qantas said it is reviewing its policies to lithium batteries and portable power banks following the incident. Airlines around the world have tightened rules after several recent fires linked to rechargeable batteries, including one that destroyed a passenger's jet in South Korea earlier this year. Many now require travelers to keep such devices within reach and ban their use or charging during flights. And lastly, on business news, the Nigeria Association of Petroleum Explorationists, NEPE, has warned the Nigerians' oil production could face a significant decline in the coming years if new exploration and discoveries are not urgently pursued. Let's join the BeeTv News' Temitope Oluwafemi for more details.
Speaking ahead of NEP's 43rd Annual International Conference and Exhibition scheduled for November 9th to 13th, 2025 in Lagos, The association president, John Bosco Uche, said renewed investment in exploration is critical to maintaining energy security and sustainable development. The conference, themed Revitalizing the Nigerian Petroleum Exploration and Production Strategies for Energy Security and Sustainable Development, aims to address strategies for keeping Nigeria's oil and gas sector competitive amid global energy transition efforts. Uche stressed that without consistent exploration, Nigeria's production profile could weaken within the next decade. He highlighted the need to stimulate exploration